O glorious spectator of the future! Yes, you, sitting there before that curious glowing box called a television. I greet you with the serenity of 1,000 mantras and the curiosity of a fakir facing a bacon sandwich. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, humble lawyer, lover of truth, and for far too many years to count, a fervent advocate of nonviolence, unless, of course, we're talking about philosophical debates or tests of paciencia with British bureaucrats. Throughout my modest journey, I challenged empires, walked hundreds of kilometers barefoot over the dust of India, fasted like an ascetic before a buffet, and won hearts with the audacious idea that peace can be mightier than gunpowder. However, today I was introduced to something called Call of Duty, a name that to me would sound like a divine summons, perhaps a call of Dharma, a sacred mission of self-reflection and self-control. Oh, what sweet delusion! For no, my dear friends, Call of Duty is a game. Yes, a game. And not a game of meditation or chakra alignment, but a simulation of war, digital, frenetic, noisy, and with more gunfire than a poorly planned colonial revolt. Imagine my perplexity. A youth of your time, comfortably seated on a throne of cushions, battling invisible enemies with weapons larger than their own head, all with their fingers, without even standing up to relieve their bladder. By Vishnu and all the gods of the pantheon, where has the value of silent contemplation gone? When did the shoot button replace the think button? Oh, but I do not judge you, or at least I try not to do so with too much fervor. After all, every era has its rituals. While the youth of my time trained with bamboo sticks to defend their villages, the youth of your time train with controllers. And when they lose, instead of losing teeth, they lose points. Progress? Perhaps. A tragedy? Undoubtedly. And so I propose a journey to you, an exploration of this artifact of digital madness called Call of Duty, narrated by me, a man of the 19th century, with a heart full of compassion and a stomach empty, for I have not yet had lunch. Let us together discover what drives millions of souls to willingly embark on purposeless battles in the name of illusory scores. But first, in the name of my long beard and my short patience, subscribe to this channel, O noble time travelers. Join this community of the curious, the dreamers, and, why not, warriors of reflection. For this will not be an ordinary video. No, it will be a philosophical digital epic like none ever seen in this pixelated era. I, Gandhi, playing Call of Duty, or at least attempting to understand this opera of gunfire and adrenaline. Let us proceed, for the ammunition of wisdom is loaded. Ah, the battlefield. How romantic that term sounds to the ears of a 19th century man. A place where honor was tested, where the fate of empires was decided under the open sky, to the sound of drums and cries of bravery. Not of teenagers shouting obscenities through what they now call headsets with microphones. I confess to you, when I heard that Call of Duty had an online multiplayer mode, I thought it was a council of sages exchanging parables about the meaning of war. What a mistake! It is, in fact, a pandemonium where 16 youths frantically compete to see who can kill the most, all without a single inspiring speech, without a code of honor, and what heresy, without horses! I was particularly intrigued by the fact that all combatants resurrect after dying. Oh, if I had known this when facing the British Empire, I would have thrown myself in front of cannons with the lightness of a poet in crisis. And the weapons! By Krishna and all the gods with good sense, I have never seen such a variety of instruments of destruction. Machine guns that fire with the fury of 1,000 thunderstorms, grenades that explode like colonial tempers, and weapons called snipers, which kill from afar without even getting your feet dirty. What treacherous art is this, where the enemy falls without hearing your footsteps? Everything is fast, frenetic, as if the world were about to end every 30 seconds. And perhaps it is, given the number of explosions I witnessed in just one match. Where is the strategy, the planning, the good old tactical hide-and-seek, the silent siege, the game of glances before the first shot? No, sir. Here, he who hesitates is dead, and he who thinks is also dead. Victory comes in the form of points. Points, I tell you, as if war were a poorly conducted math contest. They do not fight for freedom, for justice, or for sacred land. They fight for something called rank, which, as far as I can tell, grants the player a higher position among others of equal restlessness and delayed sleep. And the most astonishing thing, there is no blood. Oh no, everything is clean, fast, sanitized. Death occurs in digital silence, with flashing graphics and rising statistics. A war where no one feels hunger, thirst, fear, or guilt. And they call this realism? But oh, do not think my tone is one of condemnation. I am, in fact, astonished, fascinated, perhaps even envious. For in my time, to enter a battle, one had to march for weeks, carry supplies, deal with dysentery, and of course convince your mother that dying for the homeland was worth more than marrying the butcher's daughter. Here in Call of Duty, everything is resolved in 15 minutes and a stable internet connection, that mystical entity that distributes chaos, memes, and unsolicited opinions. Now tell me, noble spectator, are you ready to discover who these digital warriors are, who dare to wield the invisible sword of glory? Do not take your eyes off the screen, for the next block will reveal a type of combatant that even my sacred elephants could not have foreseen. The camper. Oh yes, they exist.
Ah, war. I always imagined it to be the domain of the bold, the brave, those who charge into danger with their chests puffed out and sandals firmly planted. Yet, in this strange universe of Call of Duty, I discovered a new type of combatant, a mystical, almost legendary creature, the camper. Yes, my dear friends, a warrior distinguished by their inertia. The camper does not advance, does not retreat, does not take a single step more than necessary. They lodge themselves in a dark corner of the map, usually behind crates, inside bathrooms, or, ironically, in towers that even the gods would not dare climb. And there they remain, still as a monk on a prolonged fast, but armed to the teeth. I confess to you, upon seeing one for the first time, I thought it was a statue, a fatal mistake. For when I turned my back, bang, I was struck down with the coldness of an imperial tax collector on tax day. This man, or creature, or incarnation of belligerent laziness is the master of patience. They do not fight for movement, nor seek the glory of open fields. They wait, like a sacred tiger, but with less charisma and more ammunition. In my time, a soldier who remained hidden behind a tree would be called a coward, or worse, a French strategist. But in this new world, they are revered. They call them a tactical player, as if staying in a fetal position for 20 minutes were some form of art.
There are even videos, yes, videos, teaching how to camp effectively. I ask you, what kind of civilization is this, where idleness has become a military discipline? And the most disconcerting thing, it works. The camper wins victories. They accumulate points. They humiliate the hasty. They are like an old guru who, instead of dispensing wisdom, dispenses high-caliber bullets through a door crack. Oh, if only my followers had known this, we would have defeated the empire with nothing but well-positioned huts and vigilant glances through the window. But even more bizarre than the camper is the reaction of other players to them. Oh, what a spectacle! Insults, fury, digital indignation, all condensed into a language that would make even the most tolerant Brahmins blush. The camper, therefore, is not merely a tactic. They are a collective emotional trigger, a philosophical entity that questions the value of effort, the haste of youth, and the morality of winning without moving. Tell me, attentive spectator, in a world where even war is fought sitting down, what still requires courage? Stay with me, for in the next block, we shall meet another fascinating species of this belligerent digital ecosystem, the rage quitter, who flees from war with more drama than a rejected poet.
Ah, the rage quitter. If, in the ancient battlefield, soldiers fell with honor, their banners in the wind, their souls ascending to the firmament, today we have the rage quitter, a warrior who, at the slightest adversity, does not bleed, does not fight, does not resist. They disconnect. Yes, with the simple press of a button, they abandon the conflict with such fury that I wonder if they haven't accidentally smashed their own keyboard with their forehead. But allow me to paint the full picture. The game begins. The drums of war beat. Grenades explode in the distance. And there they are, the brave combatant, full of hope and an ego inflated like a colonial pave dessert. But then, they take the first shot. Perhaps a missile to the face. Perhaps a camper behind a toilet bowl. And then, instead of persevering, they explode. Not in the game, in their soul. "This game is broken," they shout. "Lag, cheater, unfair matchmaking, hackers, my grandma would click better than this." Oh yes, the rage quitter never makes a mistake. The world conspires against their digital majesty. It's a narrative worthy of Indian tragedies. Rosa, only with less dancing and more pixelated profanity. And then, poof, like a fakir vanishing into the Himalayan mist, they disappear. They abandon the match. They betray their own team, now fighting one man short, like trying to row a leaky canoe with a teaspoon. And make no mistake, O curious viewer of the screens, the rage quitter does not learn. They return. Always return. They are a repeat offender, like a poet who insists on rhyming heart with apart. In their mind, every defeat is a cosmic injustice, every death a personal offense, every lost match a violated international treaty. And as if that weren't enough, they record their outrage in the comment sections. Oh, what a temple of digital resentment these modern forums are. A true minefield of grudges typed with rage and poor spelling. I ask you, if one cannot lose with grace, how will one win with dignity? Oh, my young warriors of unstable connections, perhaps the true victory lies in staying, even when you're losing. For, after all, a heart at peace is harder to defeat than any laggy sniper. But wait, for we have not yet seen the greatest champions of this world. In the next block, you shall meet the microphone screamers, creatures who turn the sonic peace of the home into a ritual of 7.1 surround possession.
Now, please, tighten your turbans and close all the windows of your spirit, for we enter the territory of the microphone screamers. Yes, I too was confused at first. Upon discovering that, in the modern battlefield, it's not enough to throw imaginary grenades and gunfire, one must also hurl violent decibels into the ears of others, I asked myself, is this a war ritual, a sonic destruction spell, or simply a curse of the century? The microphone screamer is a being who believes with unshakable faith that their voice is a weapon. That victory will be achieved not with strategy, but with screams of 120 decibels delivered through a device that seems to amplify both sound and unresolved childhood anger. Oh, how I miss the meditative silence of the temple, the gentle mantras chanted beneath the fig tree. For here, my dear friends, there is only the scream. Move, you noob! Revive me! Mom, bring me the chicken nuggets! Yes, there's always an urgent culinary plea in the midst of war. It seems to be a sacred tradition. And do not think that age limits this phenomenon. No, no, no. From children whose voices still squeak like out-of-tune flutes to adults with lungs like a locomotive whistle, they all scream. They scream to coordinate, to complain, to insult, and sometimes just for sport. I recall with a certain poetic pain the first time I heard one of these during digital meditation. I was trying to understand the mechanics of a fragmentation grenade when suddenly, "Your mom!" echoed in my ear with the force of 1,000 war drums. Good sirs, if I wanted gratuitous insults over coffee, I'd simply return to the British Parliament of my time. But here's the paradox. The more they scream, the less they hear each other. It's a spectacle worthy of a blind theater, where everyone wants to speak, but no one wishes to listen. As if peace, so cherished in my journey, had been buried under layers of RGB-lit gaming headsets. And then there are those who turn on the microphone and say nothing. But they let the surrounding environment be heard. The dog barking, the sibling crying, the fan whirring like a UN helicopter. A sonic chaos more complex than any Beethoven symphony, but without talent, without rhythm, and with the aroma of fast food. Indeed, if war is hell, the Call of Duty lobby is the circle reserved for the sins of acoustics. But do not lose faith, noble listeners of the Magic Box, for the next block will reveal an even more peculiar subspecies, the stat braggarts, who measure the worth of a soul by KD ratio and think themselves gods because they've killed more pixels than you.
Oh, how simple things were in my time. We measured a man's virtue by his compassion, his courage in facing the oppressor, his peaceful resistance against the empire. But in this modern universe of virtual battles, such greatness has been replaced by numbers. Yes, numbers. Those same figures that once inhabited colonial accounting ledgers now reign supreme in the digital fields of war. And thus we meet a new spiritual caste, the stat fanatics. These do not fight for honor, nor for fun, nor for world peace. No, sirs, they fight for the KD ratio. Yes, the infamous kill-death ratio, the sacred proportion between how many virtual lives the warrior has taken and how many times their own has been snuffed out with a flourish of frags. By Shiva and all the gods of the Himalayas, since when is a man's worth measured by the number of avatars felled in the name of entertainment? These creatures live like digital priests, consulting tables and charts with the reverence of one reading the Vedas. They know exactly how many deaths they've had per second, per minute, per lunar cycle, and they proclaim their feats in a messianic tone. My KD is 3.7, you prestigeless worm. I got 42 kills with a rubber knife and blindfolded.
I have more hours in this game than my mother has affection for me. Yes, I admit, that last one seemed more like a plea than an insult. But see, these fanatics are not dangerous merely for their mathematical obsession. The real danger is that they believe they are better people for it. The vanity, the pride, the conviction that mastering the controls of a simulation makes them natural strategists, commanders of battalions, supreme leaders of the sofa armed forces. Little do they know that in real war, the one I fought with fasting, marches, and silence, no statistic saves a corrupted heart. No numerical victory substitutes a spirit at peace. But, of course, if I say this in an online lobby, the response will likely be, skill issue. And with that, I close this block, with a slightly wounded soul and an ear weary of so much pixelated boasting. Next, my dear friend, we shall dive into the most spiritual part of this digital epic, infinite reincarnation. Yes, the death that never truly dies. In my time, dear viewer of the future's magic box, death was a grave event, definitive, ceremonious. It involved flames, tears, and perhaps, with luck, a silent elephant crossing the sunset. But in Call of Duty, oh no! Here, death is a temporary inconvenience, a slight stumble in a field of explosive wrapping paper and noisy gunfire. The warrior falls, shouts something unintelligible like, ugh, and before the body cools, voila, they're back, like a soul refusing its final journey because it forgot its cell phone in the astral plane. This eternal cycle, this cosmic dance of death and rebirth, is known as spawn. But, my lords and ladies, it is not a dignified rebirth, as ancient theologians might imagine. No, it's a clumsy, abrupt rebirth, and often right on top of a grenade. Yes, nothing says welcome back to life like an explosive device under your feet. And if you don't respawn next to your own killer, still licking their lips from their last digital slaughter, fair. It's like being reincarnated inside the mouth of the tiger that devoured you. Curiously, this mechanic, this real-time resurrection, has created a new philosophy among couch soldiers, an absolute disdain for their own existence. After all, why fear death if it's just a loading screen? If I had known this in my youth, I would have started a revolution, respawned 4 times a week, and perhaps even accepted tea with the English more often. But no, here there is no meditation on life, no room for contemplation. Here, death is just a pit stop. And with each return, there is no greater wisdom, no evolution, only more bullets, more screams, and more explosions that would make even Shiva cover his eyes. I wonder, do these young digital warriors have any idea what it truly means to be reborn? Or are they merely trapped in an eternal cycle of recreational violence, like rats chasing their own grenade? I say to you, to be reborn without purpose is merely to die again with better sound effects.
And here we are, noble souls of tomorrow. After traversing digital trenches, imaginary explosions, and debates about weapons that shine brighter than a bored Maharaja's jewels. After so many shots and rebirths, there is but one question echoing in my ancestral mind like an inverted mantra. Is this, after all, war? Or merely a theater of digital puppets with greasy fingers as directors? Yes, for if peace is a choice, as I proclaimed so many times under the merciless sun of the Empire, then this war is also a choice. A war where the enemy is not another, but boredom itself. The call of duty, as I can perceive, is in truth the call of the couch.
The modern warrior fights not for land, nor for honor, nor for freedom. They fight because they have nothing better to do between dinner and sleep. Oh, how the world has changed, and how the gods must laugh at it all. If only we had known, in our time, that one day the youth would wage global battles without leaving their chairs, we would have invented Wi-Fi before the hand loom. But so be it. I did not come here to judge, though I am judging with all possible delicacy. I came to reflect, to provoke, and perhaps to laugh, with the half-closed eyes of one who has seen empires crumble for far less than a laggy connection. So if this video entertained you, enlightened you, or at least raised your eyebrow in philosophical contemplation, do the world a kindness. Subscribe to this channel with the same faith with which you reload your digital weapons. Like, comment, and share this word, for even a pixelated war deserves to echo in your virtual halls. And always remember, my dear friends, when in doubt between the trigger and wisdom, choose the latter. Or, at least, choose a decent headset. Namaste, and until the next battle of absurdities.